Welcome to episode 27 of the Harsch Review, a film and TV review podcast. Thanks for joining us, everyone. With you today is Ryan and my brother Sean. How's it going, Sean?
Hey, Ryan. How you doing?
Hey, I'm pretty good, Sean.
Sweet.
What's going on this week?
Oh, it's kind of a bummer week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the news with Anthony Bourdain taking his own life, which is pretty sad.
Yeah. You know, I think we should talk about him because he is, TV star in addition to some other things. But, that guy was kind of like a gateway to a lot of things for me, and just seeing him on television and reading his published works kind of like, exposed me to a lot of cultures, but then also a lot of literature and music, films. Just kind of, he'd mention things on his show and I'd kind of go, oh, okay, that might be cool to check out, and took note of it. So it's really, really pretty shocking. It seemed like, you just never know, right?
Yeah, it's kind of increasing, at least in the media lens, or people that are under the spotlight that have dealt with either, depression, drugs, or blah, 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 who knows what. Not really in any position to speculate because you don't know what someone's going through, but it's tragic in the sense that that's how somebody feels is probably the only resolution to any kind of pain, especially with somebody that has as much influence and impact that he does.
Yeah.
Great author. His shows are awesome to watch. I've seen almost all of them. Very, very good insight into life, but he's also one of those guys who's been brutally honest and true to himself. And I think that's why so many people appreciate him.
It's hard to find someone who's that kind of, just kind of bears his soul like that.
Absolutely.
And that's why it makes this harder, in terms of something else. It's a very rare breed.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would say that, if there's anybody out there that's in that kind of situation, you just got to lean out and take advantage of the help that's available. As tough as it can be, and I'm sure it's even tougher for people that are in the spotlight. But it's definitely a must.
Always. Yeah, he will be missed. I think it's going to be kind of hard to fill that void, but I'm going to go back eventually and watch a lot of his shows. It's just kind of hard to, just turn those on and watch them right after he passed. It's, very sad.
That's true. I mean, hopefully more details kind of come out. I mean, he's somebody who's talked about suicide before. He's somebody that has been very open and honest with the struggles he's had in life and what he doesn't have to live for. I mean, he's got like an 11-year-old kid. He's been pretty happy in his current relationship, but somewhere he decided to hang himself. Yeah. And who knows what's going on or what he was feeling, but pretty sad for him and his family and everybody that he's impacted.
Absolutely.
But yeah, gonna definitely go back and watch some of his stuff when it's doesn't sting as much. He will be missed.
Yes, he will.
All right. Well, let's.
Sorry to start off with such a low.
Yeah, I figured just kind of get it out of the way right now since it's kind of out there and just kind of talk about it for a moment.
Yeah.
But let's turn a corner and let's spice things up a little bit. Anything else in the news catch your eye that wasn't such a bummer?
Well, I got one more bummer that we might as well get out of the way.
Uh-oh, let's hear it.
Does the name Jerry Marin mean anything to you?
Jerry Marin. Is it another one of those celebrities that has a different name?
No. Not Thomas Mapother.
Yeah, no. I don't know who Jerry Marin is.
So Jerry Marin was the last surviving Wizard of Oz Munchkin.
Ooh.
He passed away at the age of 98 in a San Diego nursing home. Cause of death was unknown, but he was 98, so...
Yeah, it doesn't really matter at that point, right?
Yeah, but he was... the middle munchkin, I guess you could say, of the Lollipop Guild.
Okay.
So if you see the Lollipop Guild, there's like 3 of them, and he was the one in the middle.
All right, middle munchkin.
1939 film, yeah. And then He went on to do a lot of other things like Seinfeld, Tron, Planet of the Apes. I don't know if the original or the newer one. Twilight Zone and Spaceballs.
Okay.
So,
well,
Jerry Marin, rest in peace also. But yeah, that's all the depressing news I have for you this week, Sean.
Yeah.
Want to delve a little bit into this big proliferation of Joker movies.
I know, right? I've seen more stories about that.
Yeah, so it's not just like one movie or two movies. It's going to be several. So, in fact, there's going to be about 6 of them that are currently in development. Goodness. And it's not all just one dude.
This is overkill. All right, so which one did you recently read about?
Well, I read an article on Screen Rant where they kind of recapped all 6. So I guess I can just kind of
please
go down the list really quick. So there's the Joker Suicide Squad spinoff movie, and that's going to be with Jared Leto.
And isn't he producing that one? I think.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, he's attached as an executive producer.
Okay.
And that's going to go into production before or after Suicide Squad 2. And then, so that's the first one. And then we have a Joker origin movie. That's, you've brought that one up before. Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix, co-produced by Martin Scorsese. So that's number 2. And then we have, it's called Gotham City Sirens. And I believe this one has to do with Harley Quinn and her involvement with the Joker as well. So we're going to have Margot Robbie back on board for that one. Also, maybe involve Catwoman and Poison Ivy. So it's going to be more female-centric. There's also going to be a Joker Harley Quinn spin-off movie. So there's another one. Also starring Jared Leto and Margot Robbie. That's number 4.
Okay.
Number 5, Harley Quinn solo movie. So there's all these other Harley Quinn movies.
He'll definitely be involved in that at some point, I would assume. Maybe not.
Maybe, yeah. And then, of course, that leads us to Suicide Squad 2. So, I don't know. I mean, he is definitely an iconic villain. We've kind of realized that. DC has announced that they have about 24 films in development or pre-production, and this takes up about a quarter of those. So, I don't know, Sean, do you think this is too much? Do you think this is just right? What's your opinion on this Joker oversaturation, perhaps?
Well, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, you can't really regulate what people are doing. So it's almost kind of like a race. And if you get the funding and you're going to make it, and people think obviously there's something there. I'm not really interested in a standalone Joker movie, to be honest. So, I mean, the Joaquin Phoenix one does sound interesting to me. I wasn't really drawn towards Jared Leto's take on Joker. I thought that his limited screen time was enough.
Kind of weird.
He did fine for what it is, but it's I always kind of like Joker in the context of being a villain or playing off of a Batman. You wouldn't have Joker if there wasn't the Batman. So I don't know. I think that once a couple of these, I really would once these start actually coming out, depending on like what's the saturation like. This is 6 movies, but is this over the course of 5 to 8 years? Or are we going to see more than one within the calendar year? It really just kind of depends on the different angles or approaches. I think that's too many, but without having any more details, I'm sure not all of them are going to come off the ground. But there might be something there. Who knows? Willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, like I said, but we'll see.
Yeah, always.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. We will see because, it's just quite a bit, and you don't know the quality. I mean, we obviously going to have some good actors and actresses involved, but that doesn't always make a good movie. So, yeah. That's too many Jokers, I think.
No, I agree.
But moving on to another film that's going to be coming out next year is going to be the Quentin Tarantino film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And we're getting a lot more actors and actresses involved. We've already mentioned that we have Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Leonardo DiCaprio, Now we're getting word that he's added more to the cast. There's Emile Hirsch, Burt Reynolds, Al Pacino, Damian Lewis, and Dakota Fanning. Damian Lewis actually is going to play Steve McQueen.
Interesting.
So, yeah, right? And if you don't think you can pull that off, then Google Damian Lewis, Rob Ford, because he's playing that guy in a biopic. And he looks nothing like it's insane. Just Google it and find out.
Damian Lewis, Rob Ford?
Yeah, Rob Ford is, I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, he's in the New Jersey?
No, Toronto mayor.
Toronto, yeah, that's right.
Had a bit of a weight problem, admitted to smoking crack. Looks nothing like him. I mean, sure he could pull it off, but
I'm seeing photos of him in a fat suit.
Yeah, that's basically what you're looking at. So I don't know.
Yeah,
check it out. Yeah, that's something to look forward to. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because all these people are being cast. Tarantino's even saying he wants to cast someone to play Bruce Lee, but no talk about Manson. I mean, interestingly enough, I'm thinking this might be a movie that's kind of centered around that time, but won't strictly focus on Manson.
He could be a MacGuffin or something. He could be a distraction.
Right.
And also, I think from a press point of view, that could be a big, aspect to the story. And they kind of want to protect what the plot is about.
Yeah.
Possible.
Which is good. I mean, and it's also kind of good that he's bringing back some Tarantino regulars. So Tim Roth, Michael Madsen, Kurt Russell will be in it. And then Tarantino's saying that it's probably the closest thing to Pulp Fiction I've done. Which
All
means
right.
we'll see several interconnected vignettes, if that's kind of what he means.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Anything he does is interesting.
Always. Release date August 19th, 2019, which is coinciding with the date of the Manson murders. Sharon Tate's family is not impressed with this news, but they have every right to be. It's pretty crazy, but I think in Tarantino's hands, like you said, it'll be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of potential. But speaking of Tarantino, I just actually watched Django earlier today. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
Nice.
It's really good.
I love that movie.
There's just a lot. It's the humor and violence blend is pretty impressive in that movie, especially when all the gunfighting starts going off and just the way that the bodies are flying because of the gun, the gun shots, where it's very dramatized. Yeah, it's just that was a great watch. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
To me, it's almost like two different movies in a sense, because maybe the first half is like this friendship that develops between Christoph Waltz and Jamie Foxx, and just kind of how they grow as friends, and they both have like this common mission. But I think it's a wonderful film. It's just I think he can do pretty much anything he wants, and if he's going to do Star Trek, that's exciting too, because he hasn't done a sci-fi film.
Mm-hmm.
But he's pretty good at, like Kubrick, for instance, like going between genres, and you can obviously see like his influences, and at times he might steal a little bit from certain films, but it's always going to be his distinctive style, and I really like that. So,
absolutely,
it's a good pick.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We have some other things coming up, like down the pike. You have anything, Sean, for your end of news?
Yeah. So John Lasseter is officially leaving Disney. It's kind of a big deal, to be honest, and but it's well overdue. If you're not familiar who John Lasseter is, he's essentially the brainchild that really made Pixar come to life. Right. Pixar wouldn't be what it is without him and the stories that he was able to tell. He wrote movies like Toy Story, Bugs Life, Cars. Those are some of the large ones, just to kind of name. A little bit more of the family-friendly ones, but he executive produced and directed quite a bit. If you guys don't remember, he was somebody that was put on a sabbatical during the not too long ago, probably like 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer, where allegations came out in 2017 that he was getting a bit handsy. And so this is one of those weird ones. Okay, so Disney's definitely trying to do some damage control here. You can go online and kind of read a lot about what his behavior was like, but essentially he was known for grabbing, kissing, makes comments about physical attributes on a lot of the females on staff. And even to the point to where an uncredited source said that Disney had to hire a handler to manage him because
he's such a perv
because they knew that he was a perv. But he was so talented that they really were trying to find that balance. And then when everything kind of came out, Rosita Jones was a writer for Toy Story 4, and she left the project because of frequent unwanted advances from him. She denies it, but there's a statement from her below that you can kind of look at that. And so Disney's original statement was, quote, "We are committed to maintaining an environment in which all employees are respected and empowered to do their best work. We appreciate John's candor and sincere apology and fully support his sabbatical." So the dude gets handy.
Sabbatical, quote marks.
Goes on the sabbatical because of whatever. And now it's become official that, according to Variety, the Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, said that John had a remarkable tenure at Pixar and Disney Animation, reinventing the animation business, taking breathtaking risks, and telling original, high-quality stories that will last forever. We are profoundly grateful for his contributions, which include a masterful and remarkable turnaround of the Walt Disney Animation Studios. One of John's greatest achievements is assembling a team of great storytellers and innovators with an vision of talents in the standard animation for generations to come.
He's a big pervert.
And with that being said, he's a toucher. So
wow,
he's out.
And he's kind of a big fat guy, right?
Yeah. Big fat guy wears colorful shirts.
That's even more creepy. I'm sorry, but
well, he's one of those people that's in such a power position within that organization that females that worked around him kind of just dealt with it. And it even got so bad that there would be photos with him and females that were like at press junkets or posting and things like that. And they had to like crop the photos because his hands would be on women inappropriately, even in moments like that. It was just like this aura of, violation, so to speak. So he's got to go, and Disney's finally getting rid of him. But at the same time, it could be worse than we know. I'm not really one to speculate on it. Disney they're handling it as best as they can to try to minimize the damage. So
when you need a handler to stop you from being a pervert, that's like when it's time to get fired. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It's like you got to pay someone extra money just to make sure he keeps his hands in an appropriate, personal space. And that's kind of creepy, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
I agree. It's really like interesting time to be alive and noticing all this stuff in the entertainment industry. Just all these people coming out, and they're all got these like crazy sexual hangups and perversion issues. It's kind of nuts.
It is. So hopefully it starts that trend continues, and you just kind of purge Hollywood of the creepers. And yeah, just like any other work environment, just because it's entertainment, I understand, much like the music business, how people might be more prone to take advantage of that because you're in a role of influence that lots of people want. But still, I mean, that's kind of bad.
Yeah. Jeez.
I know.
Well, what are you going to do? I mean, it just keeps happening.
Yeah, get him out. About you, anything else on your side?
Yeah, I got a couple things. Game of Thrones fans, I know we got to wait a little bit longer, and now there's something else we got to wait a little bit longer for something else. Because after Game of Thrones is over, we're going to be taken back in time to Westeros that's thousands of years before all the action taking place that we currently see. So HBO has put in a pilot order for a prequel series. It's created by kick-ass writer Jane Goldman and GOT author George R.R. Martin. Mm-hmm. Pilot's been worked on by both of those for a couple of years now. It's going to be set thousands of years before all the events of the first season. still untitled project. It's going to be set near the end of the golden age of heroes, right before the land of Westeros falls into the darkest periods of its history. So,
and you understand all these references?
No, I'm just like, I'm throwing them out there.
Yeah, I was
I'm
like,
assuming.
Is this from personal experience?
Yeah, I'm very knowledgeable on all this. So we learn about the White Walkers, the Starks, the mysteries of the East, all explored in different ways. So I'm pretty excited about this. I like the show a lot, and it's nice to see them keeping it going. It's just we're gonna have to wait till 2020 for this one. So, boo.
Yeah, HBO's definitely gonna have a huge ratings hole to fill, and we'll see. I mean, nobody really knew about Game of Thrones that were not exposed to the books when it came on, and a whole new audience embraced it. So hopefully it's original in its approach and with its intent. But I don't know. I mean, I enjoy Game of Thrones. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it's well made. It's great to see something like that be on TV. I know a lot of people haven't seen it, and that's mainly because they weren't on it early enough, and then you're just sick of hearing about it. So it's just kind of like Walking Dead. Like the fan base is very vocal about it, to where it's almost kind of a turnoff. Which I could relate.
It's combative.
Yeah, but I still think it's very well made, and it's very good. But I am getting a little over it in that respect. So I think they're doing a good job of ending it now. I would say the only reason why they're doing a prequel is because there is an audience that you want to retain, and there's probably more stories to be told. But at the same time, I would also be a huge fan of something new and original, which I'm not saying this isn't new and original, but not Game of Thrones new and original, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And so we have that, and then we also have some big news for Star Wars fans. Ram Bergman, who's Rian Johnson's producing partner, says the first installment of his Star Wars trilogy may be out in about 2 years. So this is all kind of new stuff that we haven't seen yet, separate and different from what's come before that. So it's not going to feature any familiar characters. Mm-hmm. And it's still going to try to capture the spirit of the franchise. So basically, this project was greenlit without even a story in place. So he's been working on mapping out all the details. But it's kind of nice that no one knows anything about it, because it definitely creates anticipation and heightens up the tension a little bit. But we are going to see 3 more of those Star Wars movies separate from, I guess, what's already going on now, right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be universe, all new story. Still don't know what we know. That Rian Johnson is definitely behind the helm of it, but is he going to be directing it, writing it? I don't know.
Yeah. So we got Game of Thrones, we got Star Wars. So all the big nerds out there, they're going to be.
We got you covered, nerds.
Yeah, and I count myself in that group too. I do like this stuff. It's it's entertaining, and it's worth looking forward to. So that's all I have for news, Sean.
All right.
Let's get into a little bit of
let's
what we've been
so
watching.
Okay, I'll kick this one off. So Genius, have you heard of the show Genius on National Geographic?
No, I haven't. I got it confused with another Genius show, but it's some other title. But I don't know anything about this show. Tell me about it, Sean.
So Genius it's kind of it follows somebody who is labeled as a genius, and it's a whole season. Usually it's 10 to 13 episodes. So I watched season 1 and season 2 in the last week and a half. So that's 20 something episodes, quite a bit. The first season's all about Albert Einstein. Nice. In the show, it's Einstein. But yeah, it really kind of just follows his life and talks to. It's just like kind of a biopic on him. It's shot very interestingly though, because it jumps between late in life and then the story of him kind of as a kid growing up and his path. So you kind of draw, parallels between it'll show you him in his later stages of his life. He's older. You can kind of see stuff that's actually happening. Then they'll go back and continue telling this linear story of him growing up. So the way they use time can get a little confusing. Because it jumps back and forth. And so it's like a collection of different actors that they're kind of doing it like what's that, American Horror Story, where that show's got like a collection of actors that are in every season. Based off of the first 2 seasons, this kind of appears the same because I recognize many same people. And so there's a young guy that's playing Einstein, which he did a good job. He definitely looked the part. Which was kind of interesting to see.
It's like a hot mess with his hair.
It's pretty well made. It leans a lot on like it borrowed a lot from, you could tell visually, from like A Beautiful Mind, where he's like visualizing science and math, and you can kind of see it like in the with CGI elements and stuff like that in the room, where he's explaining some theory or something like that. And there's a lot of these visuals that kind of come along with it. So that's kind of a cool way to help you understand some of the complex stuff that Einstein was doing. And then the older version of him was played by Captain Barbossa of the Black Barrel. What's that guy's name? Jeffrey
Rush.
Yeah, he played the older version of Einstein.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, and I didn't recognize him at first. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Why do I know him? And he kind of had that, Barbossa twang to how he was speaking. But I learned a lot about him that I did not know, and it kind of watered down what you would say is quote unquote genius, because what he actually did was genius, but at the same time, you kind of got sick of the guy. Because
it seemed annoying. Like apparently his wife had to take care of him, right? Like
he's completely helpless. Like he was just so wrapped up in wanting to explore the unknown and do these things. So he always had to have handlers. He wasn't kind to the women in his life just because he's kind of clueless.
Did he need a pervert handler?
No, he didn't need one of those.
Is that an official job title now, thanks to Mr. Lasseter?
Toucher patrol, handler.
Yeah.
And so he had lots of different women in his life, and typical for him, I guess, was he's just kind of clueless, really smart. And it was interesting to see the role that he had being a Jew that was in Germany. He renounced his German citizenship at one point, went all over from like Hungary to Switzerland and kind of moved around at different schools, but he never really excelled in any kind of classroom setting. They were just a little bit too narrow for him. And so he challenged authority a lot naturally. And when he came up with a lot of his theories, he was kind of like a patent clerk, which was kind of interesting until he just started publishing works. So he wasn't a professor, he wasn't anything, and he started publishing works. And that's kind of how he got recognized by like all his colleagues, so to speak.
It started on the bottom and worked.
Really did, yeah. He really, and there's a lot of influential German people that denied him getting the Nobel Prize because he was a Jew. Yep, and well, this is all pre-Hitler.
Oh,
and then he was living in Germany at the time, and when World War II was starting to kind of break out. So there's actually quite a bit of narrative with like Nazis and World War II in his later life, and where he eventually left to America because he kind of feared for himself. One of his colleagues was another Jewish scientist was killed, and so it tells all these really really interesting stories like that. And then the other part is Hoover, J.
Edgar Hoover.
J. Edgar Hoover, yeah. Hoover did not like him.
He didn't like a lot of people, though.
And really tried to block his access into America and initially denied it. And then so he had to like sign these papers saying that he would or would not do certain things if they approved him to come to America. So it was really hard for him to get back to America. But he finally was able to before war broke out, and that's kind of where he spent the rest of his life, over like in New Jersey near like Princeton, I believe. So
nice.
It's an interesting story for season 1. I enjoyed it, and it gets a little confusing at times, and you kind of just get over this whiny dude. because he does whine a lot about, not getting his way, but he was poor and he struggled for most of his life.
He didn't like to tie his shoes or comb his hair.
He didn't care about his hair. He didn't care about any of that stuff. And then the second season was all about Picasso.
Cool.
So Antonio Banderas plays Picasso. And
how's he do?
He does a good job. That was actually what I went to go watch, was the Picasso. I didn't know it was like a season show. Then I saw, season 1, Einstein. So I just started there.
And that's the guy I want to know more about too.
If you have any kind of cable service or YouTube TV or anything like that, you can download the Nat Geo app, or you can put on your Apple TV and you can log in through that and you get access to all the shows. So Picasso follows the same format, young Picasso, old Picasso, and he's another one of those guys to where he's just an asshole. He's so into himself, and he's a womanizer, but I get it from an artist point of view, is that he's this really ultra high level creative that just lives in a different world and just doesn't understand certain things. He needs handlers to manage everything.
Guys like that, like they're, possibly, some bit of like what we call autism spectrum.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's like, obviously at that time undiagnosed, but not only that,
he's a bit
but
aspy.
Yeah, right. But I mean, also just operating on like a completely different level than everyone else. And it's like, aptly named show, because that's pretty much what they are, what they'd be considered to be.
Yeah, he is my favorite artist. And it was interesting seeing all his different, periods, from like the blue period to the Cubism era, and where the role that he played with just kind of modern art, so to speak. And he was also somebody who tangled a lot with the Nazis, especially, which I didn't know, especially in being in Spain, where a lot of German forces in his later life were occupying there. They raided his house at one point, and he had to sneak in after hours and steal a lot of his art before they destroyed it.
Spain was undergoing their own like fascist kind of revolution too. So.
No, absolutely. And he sided with the Communist Party at one point, which was another interesting aspect of it. But I guess the whole thing with him, though, that you kind of get sick of to a certain extent, is that he has this weird like helplessness, or he will be with a woman and he's just super like into her and dependent on her, and he's very crybaby. He doesn't want to be alone. But then he gets over them and he finds like a new muse, and then he just moves on. And it's almost like a cold, like, I'm completely done with this woman, I move on to the next woman.
Detachment.
And that theme continues so long through his life, where he's got kids with different women. And they all are just like kind of crazy. They're drawn towards him because of who he is. But he's clearly, it's like a one-way street in a lot of respects.
You know who was like that I had no idea. I'd do a little research. Stephen Hawking. I guess that guy was quite the babe magnet.
When he went to strip bars and stuff.
Well, like he'd get a lot of women, and like, that movie, Theory of Everything, that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Good movie, and it showed like that relationship. But I guess he was involved in other relationships, and the wife was totally okay with it.
Yeah, and then there's some money involved to make that happen. But
sure, yeah, but interesting how these guys relate to the world and other people.
Yeah, so Picasso season 2 isn't over yet. I'm already caught up like on episode 8. It's definitely fascinating and worth watching, because I like kind of learning. I like biographies and learning about people that achieve success, and it kind of breaks down that success. What's interesting is you think that the show would be very pandering, but it's not. And I think that's what I appreciate about it, is it doesn't necessarily make you like the person anymore. It just helps you understand what they did and how they were successful. So they
should just change the name to genius guys who were also assholes,
or like genius-ish,
genius hot messes.
Yeah,
just because that's what they sound like. Both of these guys. but they've left behind a significant body of work and legacies. So
yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And then so I did a little bit of research into what they're doing for the next season, and I believe they're going to be doing
Tesla?
it on Mary Shelley for season 3.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's author of Frankenstein. Yeah,
right.
So I didn't really know much about her at all, other than that line right there. So I'm curious to see like where the genius is.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it might have a little something to do with being like a major kind of first woman author to really
true.
break through with this kind of like male centric work. It might be a commentary on the masculine and things like that. That's the English major in me talking, by the way. So
yeah, nerd.
Yay.
Yeah.
Great
Mary Shelley.
book.
But she lived from 1797 to 1851. And so all these other ones have been period pieces, and there's the last two for season 1 and season 2. There's been a lot around World War II and the activities of that, and how Picasso, he stayed in Paris when the Germans invaded. He didn't want to leave. And so the whole story takes place in that a lot of the events of his later life are taking place while that's happening. So it's not just like you're watching every frame of Picasso who goes like, I want to paint you, and that's what he says, all these women, and he gets them over and paints them naked and then sleeps with them.
Nice.
But it was also shown how he was just doing like mad opium and all kinds of stuff for a long time. And yeah, it's not flattering at all.
John Lasseter's like, I'll make you an ant if you sleep with me. I'll put your likeness in a Wally.
Yeah, what a creepo.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the things I've been burning through.
All right. Yeah, I went to the movies yesterday and I saw Hereditary.
I don't know of this. Tell me more.
Man, this is a crazy movie. Probably traumatized me a little bit. It is, I don't only go see many movies in the horror genre. Not that I don't like them and appreciate them. It's just this one I was kind of reading about a lot of the buzz online, and I decided to check it out. And it is a crazy movie. Don't want to give away the whole thing. It's more or less about kind of a matriarch in a family dies, and then we get to see the fallout that happens. It may be related to things like witchcraft and the occult. So
is this a modern story or is it a period piece?
Modern story.
Okay.
So main actors are Patty from The Leftovers. I don't know her name, but that's all I know her from. And she's also in Handmaid's Tale.
She's great.
Yeah, she's great in this one. Toni Collette is great. And Gabriel Byrne, who's like in a very understated type of performance, but it's a good movie. It's very, very crazy, and it's not. I think a lot of people will be disappointed, just expecting this to be like a straight up, constantly like scaring the crap out of you movie, because it's not that. It's very much a slow burn, kind of reminiscent of classics like The Shining, Omen, Rosemary's Baby. And it really like it's just as much like in terms of shock and horror and terror as it is about like mental illness and the stages of grief. So it really like uses a lot of the tension and the disgusting stuff that happens kind of like as a metaphor for mental illness and what happens when someone in your family dies and how that kind of manifests itself, in your head. So I was impressed. It's this movie's going to really stick with me just because there's a lot of crazy images. Being compared to like The Exorcist is, more or less like a modern classic. And I think it definitely could be that. But I think a lot of people going to be, have something like a Halloween movie or a Friday the 13th are going to be kind of let down because it's not that kind of movie at all. Has definitely its own pace. But first time director, very impressed with a lot of like the camera work where it just kind of holds the camera on people's faces or actions to the point where you're like, what's going on? So I liked it. It's a different kind of movie for me to go see in the theaters, but I was impressed.
Do you recommend it?
I do. Yeah, I definitely recommend it, but it's definitely not for everybody. There's a couple things in here that might really disturb you. So if you're not really into that, having those kind of images in your head for a little while, you might want to stay away from this movie and, send someone else to see it for you or something.
Cool.
I don't know if you'd like it, Sean, but
yeah, we'll see. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe a 99-cent rental in the future.
Yeah, I'll look out for it.
Yeah. But yeah, that was something I saw, and then I think we both watched something that just came out on Netflix.
Are you talking about the staircase?
Yep.
Yeah, I just finished it
Me too.
yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, so let's set the yeah. So, true crime. It's everywhere. It's all the rave on the podcast networks. So Staircase, I didn't know about it. I guess it was already an already produced French documentary, and then additional episodes and stuff were added, but then the whole thing was released on Netflix within the last week. So it's about 13 episodes long, and the first 8 take place in 2004. Then there's a couple more that take place like in 2012, and then the final 3 take place in 2016, 2017. And it follows this guy that he is an author. He's a war vet from Vietnam, and he's an author who wrote books about the war, fictional stories, I guess. And his wife fell down the stairs. I'm doing quotes if you can't see it. And she died. Then he was tried for murder. I don't think we have to really worry about spoilers for the whole first. I think for most of it, if you're interested in it, you're going to watch it, and you may have already known about it.
There's a lot of intricacies in this movie that you really can't spoil it because I don't know. What did you think about it? Like your overall impression before we.
It was definitely captivating. I was back and forth on did this guy actually do it, and it's very interesting because the prosecution didn't really have a strong case. But when some of the baggage of his past and just secrets of, him in his life kind of came out in court that were not even related to this, this particular incident, really brought in a lot of character judgment issues. And it was in North Carolina? So there's a lot of prejudice you could kind of see at play to a certain extent. And it's interesting because I think that my first impression is that the camera crew follows the defense. They don't jump back and forth. You don't see the other side of the story. So the whole thing is told through the narrative of the defense. And it's interesting to get insight into that because I always assumed that, let's say that I murdered somebody and I'm claiming not guilty, that I would have a conversation with my lawyer going like, look, I did it, but you got to get me out. You'd think that there's some element like that, but the defense was all in. They were making sure that they believed to be getting truth from him, and then came up with a defense for that. So it was interesting to see like their approach from that point of view. I don't know. I mean, do you think the guy did it?
It's really hard to tell. I mean, I don't think so.
Doesn't it have elements from Making a Murderer as well, where
kind of.
You could kind of see there's a lot of shitty police work, and there's some deceit, and there's some characters that shouldn't really be involved because I mean he was charged, and then they reversed the charge and decided to go to a retrial because the defense was able to highlight some perjury and bad conduct on the prosecution side. And then the guy ends up taking a plea deal in the end, admitting guilt so he could take his plea deal and just be done with it. So that's made kind of clear early on.
Did they get into that owl thing?
The owl?
Yeah. They didn't really get into it, did they?
What remind me? What are you talking about?
I mean, someone told me about it, and then I was like, I don't remember seeing that in the show, but apparently, like, it came out, I think when they retried the case, they said an owl possibly attacked Kathleen Peterson, and that's why like part of her scalp was, kind of messed up, and that's what made her fall down the stairs. And this theory came out in 2009. So yeah, the autopsy revealed 7 lacerations, including very deep ones at the back of the scalp. Pine needles stuck to one of her hands, which both held clumps of her hair. Yeah, I don't know. This wasn't covered.
That's interesting. They didn't say anything about that in the show.
No, because I posted on Facebook. I was watching the show, and then someone was like, "Well, I believe the bird theory," and I'm like, "Well, what's that about?" So I went online, and interestingly enough, this was never really covered.
Yeah,
and I don't think they eventually maybe not have used it, but I think someone else kind of brought it up, and I don't know if it had enough weight to it, but.
Well, there was elements that they would talk about, like in retrospect later on, or they were showing different clips, and they left a lot of stuff out. So I know that we kind of talked about some specifics here, but it really doesn't take away from watching this yourself. It's a very interesting story because you don't really watch these to go, was he guilty or not? Like you almost kind of watch it. It's like watching OJ. The course of it, but you want to see the details.
And he seems like a good guy. I mean, it's like they kind of dredged up his past a little bit, and that's going to happen eventually. Got into some stuff that he was, bisexual, and he was talking to guys online, and his wife was okay with it, but maybe she wasn't, and but he never really acted on those impulses so much as just kind of set stuff up.
There's a curiosity, yeah.
Yeah, so but with this guy, it's like I kind of feel a little sympathy, but it really shows you like the justice system is very tedious. It's not going to be 100% correct. They really raked a couple guys over the coals in this one. Like, I remember the Asian guy, and some people were like, "Well, I couldn't understand what he was saying," and they were messing with him, and then the other guy, Devers or something.
Yeah.
They really. I would have liked to see them interview him like after the fact, because they really slammed him like when they came back and did a retrial later.
Well, because he lied and
he perjured. Yeah,
he was very misleading. There's a lot of loose ends that they didn't quite address. They even talked about the thing about the blowpoke, which was like the proposed, murder weapon.
Which I never knew that's what it was called until this show.
I've never even seen one where you would stick it in the fire, then blow on the end of it.
Yeah, that must be like a back east thing.
Something.
We don't really have fireplaces in California like that.
Yeah,
unless we're in the
just
mountains.
AC units. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I would recommend anybody who likes any of that true crime kind of stuff to kind of watch it.
Yeah.
Come up with your own conclusion, because it's very transparent how it goes. It was a national story for a long time. So it's not really one of those things where you can kind of go like, oh, don't spoil it. I mean, this show's been out for 15 years.
Yeah.
So
it's been updated to reflect some changes.
Yeah. It's an old story that's new to me. And kind of, I'm curious to see if you guys have seen it, what do you guys think? Did he do it? Did he not? You get a lot of access behind the scenes, to this person. What was fascinating to me is that they just let him out on bail while he's being tried for murder.
Yeah.
And then when he goes away for almost a decade, and then they're going to go to a retrial, they're like, let him out again.
And he just looked like when they caught up with him after he'd been in jail for 8 years, he just looked like terrible. He looked horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of already old to begin with, but he just looked terrible.
Wasn't looking good.
No.
But it was good. A little long in the tooth.
Pain and it is a little long. I mean, but it is like, it's just one of those shows you're going to binge regardless. And kind of draw your own conclusions from after the fact.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's also kind of good that when they do these shows, they're not really picking something that everyone knows about. So, like when they did Making a Murder, I didn't know anything about that. So it's like, it's fascinating to see this stuff.
Yeah, I would say the difference, though, is like with Making a Murderer, like you really don't care about the guy because he's just like a piece of trash. Whereas on this one, it's you have a little bit more empathy for Michael. I think that's what his name was. Mm-hmm. And it's also interesting to watch like the people on the prosecution side, where like the family and stuff are just so hell-bent that he did it before it even goes through trial. And people just need, like, they have to have their own like personal resolution. and which I understand, I get it. But before the trial was even gone and before the prosecution even made their full case, like these people were already hell bent that, oh, he's the murderer. So it was really interesting to see like the family divide, and some people landed on one side or the other.
Right.
And yeah, it's just kind of tragic. You kind of look at that and kind of go, okay, well, did he or did he not actually do it? I don't really think the prosecution put together a case that said he did. There was nothing that lined up with that. And they couldn't prove that, beyond a reasonable doubt, but somehow they were able to pull that off. And the jury was like, yeah, we think he did it. But there's no smoking gun. There was nothing that like connected the dots at all. It was all just speculative. Yeah, check it out. The Staircase, Netflix.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like 2 days, I killed it.
Yeah, I know.
It
Jeez,
didn't take too
You're
long.
more dedicated than I was.
Yeah. I'm like, let's do this.
So another show on Netflix that I watched was Making Fun: The Story of Funko Pop.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of? You know what a Funko Pop is?
You know what? I think I have 3 of them in the bathroom right now. I have. You want to know what I have?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Those are just little figures, right?
Yeah.
So I have the Xenomorph from Alien.
Uh huh.
I have Jerry Garcia.
Uh huh.
And I have Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you know what they are.
Yeah.
The Xenomorph.
Yeah, it's like, next to like Jerry Garcia, it's like, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
And
so
kind of make it look like he's about to eat Jerry Garcia.
Yeah, I saw that one. It's cool. So Funko Pops are those little bobblehead looking toys. They start out as bobbleheads and then kind of turn into the little like vinyl toys where they got like little cute faces and stuff. Very clever, very unique in their design, and just kind of like a nice little statue or figure. That's a caricature of something in pop culture. And the company's actually called Funko, and then Funko Pops are the newer ones. But it's a story of a company that started in 1998 in Everett, Washington, which I didn't know, and kind of talks. It's just half hour north of Seattle here, and it talks about how they started out as like bobbleheads and started getting licensing, and then how it became very popular. And the City Walk, there's a store down on City Walk, which I've been to, which was kind of the first place they started selling them. First ones they made were like, Bob's Burgers. Is that Big Boy Burgers or what is it? You know what I'm talking about, like the little kid in the red checkered overalls with a pompadour.
Bob's Big Boy.
There you go, Bob's Big Boy. And those were the first ones they made. So they kind of started and they were just selling them like crazy. And so these 3 guys that kind of got together, one had the vision, one had the art, and that kind of stuff. One had business, and
was there like exploded. A bomb specialist and a linguist?
Yeah, exactly.
A wild card.
The Funko 8.
Yeah.
And so it's not so much a story about the Funko in general as a company. It's more about like the people who collect them and the people who like toys and pop culture and stuff like that. So really, if you take, it's almost, hour and a half. If you take it, about half an hour is actually about the company. And then the other hour is filled with interviews from a lot of famous people, and it shows you their collections and people that just kind of collect and are fanatics, so to speak, of, I think that's what they actually are called, that love the toys and all that kind of stuff. So last year they built this headquarters store up in Everett, and they kind of showed that. They did this huge grand opening. Kevin Smith went there for the grand opening. He had a Silent Bob Funko made. And so after watching the documentary, I had no idea there was a store up there either. So I went there and checked it out today. Pulled up, and it looks really cool. They got these huge versions of it, like on the outside and near this parking garage. And there's a huge line outside the store at 12 o'clock on a Sunday. So you had to wait in line to get in this store. And you walk in, and it's like a store that's like in Disneyland. It's huge. And it's got all the different sections for the different genres or themes of toys and other merchandise. It's got like this little Batman DC Comics section. It's got a more like Asian, Japanese themed art section, anything that's come from Japan. It's got a Marvel section, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Disney. It's got some sports stuff, and then just general all around different types of figures and stuff. So I spent about an hour and a half in there. I bought like 10 of these things. I didn't plan. I didn't plan on it. They have a lot. There's a lot of really cool ones they make.
You might have to take me there when I come up.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. And yeah, so if you like Funko Pops, you have any of those, it's interesting to check out. And then you kind of get an insight into the huge store that they made, which looks totally rad.
Nice.
So yeah, good documentary. It's on Netflix. Making Fun.
Very cool. Nice. You want me to give you some more of what I watched? Or do you want to get to our viewing challenge, Sean?
Let's hear another one.
All right. Well, I watched. I'll do one more here. Another series on Netflix. This one's called Safe.
I haven't heard of this. Safe.
So
okay.
This is with Dexter, Michael C. Hall.
Oh, I have mixed feelings on that guy, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Well, as we know, like a lot of actors from overseas, they'll do very convincing American accents. This one is interesting because Michael C. Hall does a British accent. So he's playing.
Isn't he British or something? I don't think he's American, is he?
He's American.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's doing a British accent the whole time. So it's pretty decent. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a outstanding show. Definitely compelling. It's all set in London. It basically revolves around his daughter is kidnapped or presumed missing, and it's kind of a whodunit, and he enlists the help of friends on the police force and another friend he works with, and ends up finding out like a lot of dirty secrets about the people he surrounds himself with. So I mean, it's if you want to watch something that's it's pretty quick. It's like 8 episodes. If you like mysteries, this one's definitely for you. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was that great. But I'm more interested, Sean, in how you feel about this guy. Like, because you said you had mixed feelings.
Yeah, I do, and I think
I
think it's because he was involved in a show, Dexter, that I thought had so much potential, and it just turned into the biggest piece of trash I can see.
Oh yeah,
not
really
only
quick too. I mean, a couple seasons it took for me to kind of turn off that show. I mean,
yeah, after the second season, I was like, okay, I'm done. And then
one with Jimmy Smits.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the guy was like,
it just got so ridiculous. It
Yeah.
felt like all the actors around him were like B-level actors.
Yeah.
I didn't like his sister, who was his wife during the time, and he married her and divorced her all during the course of this show.
That's convenient.
I know. So I wasn't a big fan of her. A buddy of mine spoiled the whole season, maybe season 4, with the guy from Harry and the Hendersons.
John Lithgow.
Yeah, I know.
That was a pretty good one.
And it had its moments, but it's like it's
weird choice for a serial killer.
It's probably one of the worst season finales ever. It makes the season finale for Lost look genius. And then there was like spin-offs where his kids become serial killers that like, because in books or something like that, I don't know. I just remember hearing that that's what they were going to take it. So there's some kind of spin-off or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he was good for a while, but then it just got so old, and he was just so one dimension, character.
Yeah.
There wasn't much, didn't have much range.
It's like he's just getting away with this for so long. It's like, come on, like these cops suck.
Yeah, I know.
They're not very good at their job.
Yeah, especially the guy Coates or whatever his name was. He's the worst actor. And so bad. I don't remember his name, something like that.
It's whatever it was. William Gibson.
And there's people that stood by that show like, oh, Dexter is awesome. And I was like, I'm out.
I tapped out real quick too. I was like,
shame.
like it's a cool concept. If they would have done like a couple seasons and you're done, that would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
But it just kept dragging it out. And I'm like, come on, like the guy's leaving like all kind, like he wants to get caught almost.
Yeah.
And it never happens. And it's just like, these are the most like inept bunch of like, law enforcement people we've ever met. So,
well, what I think could have made it more compelling is if they handled the police side a little bit better. It felt like a soap opera. Yeah. And you didn't actually believe any of these people had the pedigree, experience, or training to be on the force. You've got like the Cuban guy that was just running around in his little fedora and stuff like, oh, I'm a detective. It's like, no, not Coates, whatever the hell. What's that guy's name?
I don't know. I don't know these people.
So it just wasn't convincing. Like outside of the writing with him, there wasn't a whole lot to grab onto, I think. I don't know, but I didn't really want to make this about Dexter, but
no, we went down a Dexter rabbit hole here.
Yeah, nice job.
Yeah. Hey, thanks. That's what I do.
So The Safe, do you recommend this show?
Yeah, I mean, just people were like, I think it's based on a mystery novelist work, so it's okay. I mean, I wasn't like I said, I wasn't overwhelmed by it, but it's like whatever.
All right.
Check it out.
Lukewarm review from Ryan.
Thumbs like sideways, almost all the way down.
Yeah, it's kind of like a
pretty neutral.
Flip your hand around.
Again, like it's my typical review. If there's nothing else on, put it on.
Sure.
But there's a lot on. So, I think last week we each challenged each other to watch a movie. So I challenged you to watch a film called The Guest.
Yes.
And you challenged me to watch a film called The Commuter. So I'd like to hear what you thought of this film. And
so your mission, should you choose to accept it, and unfortunately I did.
Yes.
I'm going to say that you got the better end of this deal.
Why?
I was kind to you with The Commuter.
Oh, geez. Well, maybe not after my review.
The Guest stars the Beast from Disney's Beauty and the Beast. The dude, the hot white kid from Downton Abbey.
Dan Stevens.
Yeah, I didn't know his name.
Come on.
First of all, before I tell you my opinion on it, why the hell did you watch this movie?
It's
because the guy from The Wire was in it.
No, I didn't know he was in it until he showed up. But it's like, oh, he's in it. I'll keep watching.
Yeah.
We talked about guilty pleasures recently, and that's kind of one of my things. Just let's play Netflix roulette, and
this wasn't on Netflix.
Well, it was at one point. That's where I watched it. I didn't pay to see this thing.
Oh, I had to pay $4, man. Yeah, well, I'm going to send you an invoice.
I'll buy you a couple tacos or something next week.
Yeah, head over to patreon.com/the Harsch Review. I'm looking to get my $4 back.
Drop $4 in the till for the Guest.
Help fund
Really?
this.
You thought it was that bad?
Are you serious?
You don't know if I'm putting you on here?
Okay, so The Guest.
So tell me what you think.
All right, I've seen this before, but it's in the likes of movies like Uncle Buck. I think it's very similar to Uncle Buck, and it's where some stranger from out of town shows up and then fixes everyone's life and then leaves. Except in this case, it's kill. So
pretty much.
Yeah, it's basically like he's this Jason Bourne kind of guy who was programmed by the military, and he comes back from the military, somehow fakes his death by blowing up some army base, comes back to the place of one of his buddies that his family lost their son in war, and he involves himself in this family where I'm going to solve everyone's problems, and then it goes off the rails and he just starts killing people. Because that's how you resolve problems. Oh, this guy's bothering you? I'm going to kill him. Oh, you didn't get the promotion at work because this other guy got it? Well, if I kill him, you'll get promoted.
For you.
Yeah, that's basically how it is.
And bullied at school? I'm going to kill him too.
Super 80s vibe. So the only thing I could appreciate is it kind of had this vibe and feeling of like an 80s movie. And but it's a really, really bad movie. And I would not recommend this to anybody.
Oh, jeez.
I came up with the idea, your mission, should you choose to accept it, and I instantly regretted it within like 15 minutes.
Oh, my God. And did your wife watch this with you?
She quickly watched, she read the plot on Wikipedia after about 10 minutes, was like, what the hell is this? And then I was like, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Yeah. I've seen this type of movie before. There's other versions of it, though, that I'm trying to think of where some guy shows up out of town and then fixes problems. Like, what other movies do that? I had a couple. Rambo? No,
First Blood?
No, because he doesn't, like, fix, like, the husband and the wife's problems, like the kid, and then it's like a classic movie I've seen so many different times before, where that's the premise of it. Yeah. But Uncle Buck was the first one that came to mind.
Okay, I'm like, it's quite the comparison.
Yeah, because the mom with the weird nose comes home from vacation, and then the daughter's hugging her, and he like fixed the relationship.
Yeah, and he's all smiling at the end.
Yeah, because he got rid of a bug. Yeah.
Ah.
So,
well, sorry, Sean. I didn't like this film.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, well, I think you know.
I'll try to pick something
exactly what you're looking for.
Try to pick something with a higher caliber next time, huh?
Well, yeah, something where I'm not going to just fast forward through and be like, yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
All right, tell me about The Commuter.
All right. Well, William Neeson, the return of William Neeson. We talked about him before.
Good old William.
Yep, and all right. Well, I wrote some notes down, so if I sound random at times, it's of no fault of my own. But it started off good, okay, very like Hitchcock, ordinary guy, kind of thrust into this situation. His son is played by Prince Joffrey, I think.
Okay,
so that from Game of Thrones, so that was interesting. But then no pun intended, I guess. Then this movie becomes something of a literal train wreck to me.
Okay, so the vehicle's the train in this one. He's done the plane.
Yes.
Right.
So basically this film is, if you've seen Nonstop, it's the same thing, but it's on a train. That's kind of the way I took it. But it goes off the rails at some point. Get it?
Yeah.
Okay. So about an hour in, like it ramps up for apparently no reason. You quickly realize that like Liam Neeson's way too old to be doing all this shit.
He's a big dude, man.
Well, they said he's like 60-something years old. So it's
he's still got it though, right?
I guess he's pulling it off.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to see him get beat up a little bit, after dishing it out to everybody else in the first 3 takings. The CGI is terrible. There's a part where the train like crashed. I'm not going to give it away. Whatever.
Too late.
The train crashes. It looks like somebody's like toy train set, like filmed up close. Looked really bad. I couldn't get. I was just like, that's terrible. And we've talked about bad CGI before. Get your shit together. I mean, this is
Yeah, I got you. I'm with you.
Okay. We have Mike from Breaking Bad, Patrick Wilson, Sam Neill. I don't even know why they're in this movie. They had nothing to contribute. They're underused, misused. They could have put anybody else in those roles. Would have been the same, but whatever. The criminals in this film are like, they're way too like powerful. They shouldn't be like that. Apparently it seems like they can control every single little thing, and that's like impossible. And that's not, just doesn't work. And finally the ending is ripped off from Spartacus. So,
okay.
That's, so, I would not recommend this to anybody. This was a red box for me. I could have picked a Blu-ray, but I'm glad I went with the DVD option. Only paid $1.
I would have done that. I would have done Blu-ray.
$1.75. Maybe if I did the Blu-ray, the train wreck would have
looked better.
A little bit better, but
okay. Yeah. Well, so what? I give The Guest 1 out of 10.
Okay.
What do you give The Commuter?
I'm not going to be like too harsh on my review. It was entertaining.
Okay.
It was engaging, but I'd say like it seems just like an hour and 10 minutes into it, the writers were like, what the hell? Let's just start throwing this stuff in there, and it like ramps up for no reason. I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay, that's fair. The Guest got a 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
Ouch.
The Commuter got 6.3 out of 10. So people seem to like The Guest more. But I figured this is not the kind of movie that you would normally go, but it should, it's exactly as I kind of expected.
Right.
All right. Well.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
That's
so
good.
so to set a little bit of precedent for what we're picking, I think that aside from the guest, it was kind of on the line. But it was a good pick one way or the other. It's definitely something I would not have watched, or I probably would have quit much earlier. And so, yeah. So we want to kind of pick movies that are kind of in that pocket to where you kind of have a likeness for them. But it's not so much a bad pick just for the sake of being like a bad pick. Does that make sense?
I don't see why you didn't like this movie, though.
What, the guest?
Yeah, dude.
You don't really like it. Come on.
I like it for weird, not just because the guy from The Wire's in it, but I think it's like, I don't know.
Damn it, McNulty.
Yeah.
McNulty, you son of a bitch.
McNulty,
Yeah.
my office. That's like every episode. McNulty, my office.
I'm the commanding officer, you son of a bitch.
All right, so
all right, you go first. What do I get this week?
Well, I'm going to give you something that's a lot better. So
okay,
pull this from my list.
Let's see if I've seen it. Let's go.
From the 80s, I don't know what year. Sigourney Weaver and Ben Kingsley.
Okay.
It's called Death and the Maiden.
I haven't seen it, damn it. All right, Death and the Maiden.
Yeah, I think you'll like this one. It's a different kind of movie. Very obscure, but very well acted. And, Ben Kingsley's in it. So come on.
Yeah.
And Ripley's in it. So, but I think you'll like it. It's a lot different.
Okay.
If you go into it with the mindset that it's a little more like a play, I think you'll enjoy it a lot more.
Okay.
Because it'll, the tensions kind of increase in that fashion. But definitely a departure from the last thing I made you watch.
Death and the Maiden?
Death and the Maiden.
All right. And is it Death as in like the same character that was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure 2?
Or is this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Death and the Maiden, an 80s movie. Wish me luck. It's a play. It's not an opera.
It's an opera.
It's an opera.
La Boheme.
La Boheme.
La Boheme. It's an opera.
It's an opera. All right. So, Ryan,
for me, Sean?
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to head on over to Amazon Prime, starring Daniel Radcliffe, best known as Harry Potter, in the movie Jungle. And this is a movie that a group of friends trek into the Amazon jungle with a guide who has a mysterious past. And their journey quickly turns into a terrifying ordeal as the deadliest threats of the wilderness lead to an all-out fight for survival.
Okay.
Yeah, so... Yeah, so the reason why I picked Jungle is because you probably have never seen Daniel Radcliffe in a movie.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
At some point, if you ever end up watching Harry Potter's, it's interesting to see movies where he is trying to pick these roles that push the bounds of acting.
Wasn't he doing one where he's like a skinhead guy?
Yeah. So he's definitely trying to dump the Harry Potter persona so he doesn't get typecast. So he's picking more of these indie movies. He did that one indie movie with Paul Dano where he was a dead body. And
yeah, that was like really weird.
Did you watch that one?
I didn't see that one.
Okay, yeah, that's another one that's entertaining.
Swiss Army Man.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. It's once you get past the novelty of it, it's actually kind of interesting.
Okay.
So
it's like Robinson Crusoe. If Robinson Crusoe did like mescaline or something.
No.
That's kind of how it looks to me. It looks really odd.
Yeah, it is very odd, but it's kind of endearing in the sense which you kind of once it kind of comes full circle and you get it. But you actually, it's a pretty sad movie. And yeah, so Jungle should be pretty simple.
Who else is in it?
That's a great question.
I still haven't accepted the mission yet. I'm asking these questions.
No, you've accepted this mission. I fucking watched The Guest. I get like a year's worth of equity there.
Okay.
Yeah, it came out last year, and
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at the other actors now.
I also appreciate that
Yasmin
you're not making
Kasim.
me. I appreciate you're not making me pay for these movies, Sean,
Well,
or pay that much.
I should to get something you'd have to go physically
recoup
rent.
your $4.
Yeah, there's nobody special in this movie. It's yeah.
Sorry,
It didn't get great reviews. I've been wanting to watch it just because it looks interesting. I saw some trailers and some of the things that he did to make it. So I guess like his approach was pretty good. Some people said it's great. Some people really liked it. Some people not so much.
Maybe I'll watch it later tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's kind of a mixed bag, but most people are giving it like a 7 to 10. But those could just be, Harry Potter fanboys.
I accept.
Okay, good. And then somebody's review was very important movie, stupid. So that's his review.
Polarity there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another one, an hour and 55 minutes of awesomeness.
Nice.
Curious to see what you think.
Sounds like Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I'm down. I'm
All
into
right,
it.
Jungle.
Thank you, sir.
Thank me next week.
Oh, hey.
Let's. I haven't seen this one yet, so we'll get through that.
$4. Well, I didn't price check my pick. Hopefully, it's not too much, but
yeah,
you just put it on my tab.
All right, we'll put it on your tab.
$4 plus whatever this one costs.
Yeah, we're getting it going.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that. Yeah, you want to take us home?
I think it's. Yeah. Well, I had something else planned, but I don't know if you want to get into it this week.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it. I got all the time in the world.
All right. Well, this is kind of a list of Vice.com. They put out like a list of movies, sometimes, and I find it interesting. This one is the best trippy movies on Netflix to watch when you're super high.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know, like I'll run a couple of these by you, and not that, we're not endorsing drug use. We're not saying it's, but like, if these movies would be appropriate if you're messed up, basically, to watch.
Okay.
So I'll just kind of go down the list. Donnie Darko.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Okay.
That could be, well, yes and no. I mean, you might not be able to follow along with the plot.
No, definitely not. What's going on with that rabbit, man?
Yeah.
Here's one, Full Metal Jacket.
That's not cool.
That's a bad trip right there.
Yeah, that's not cool.
That's not the kind of Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Yeah, it's probably a comedy.
Yeah. This is interesting. Great movie. It Might Get Loud.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick.
Yeah, right? This one definitely, Moon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a trippy movie.
I don't really feel like these are connecting with me.
Okay, well, I'll do one more.
Yeah,
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Okay, that's getting closer to it.
All right. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Okay.
That's the last one.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to kind of run by you and see what you think. Maybe do a future episode, recommend some of our listeners movies they should watch if they're partaking in anything specific.
Sure. Well, I guess it depends on what kind of experience you have. If you want to be like, you want something that's going to leave a positive impact or something that is going to not, I don't know.
Yeah. That's my list.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Trip A movies.
Yes. Anyway, it's been fun, Sean.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. It's been good, Ryan.
Yeah. Hopefully you won't need a perv handler anytime soon.
No, I will not.
So,
I will not need toucher police.
You sure about that?
Yes.
All right. Well, anyway, this has been the Harsch Review, episode 27. You can check out our website, harschreview.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And if you could support us at Patreon, www.patreon.com/The Harsch Review. We're trying to raise money so Sean can continue to watch these horrible movies that Ryan keeps recommending.
Yes, please. I want my $4 back.
Yeah, so Sean needs I'm not going to buy him tacos after all. Someone's going to kick down some $4 for him.
Next time you visit, I'm just going to steal it out of your wallet. Just put a Post-it note in there. Thanks,
right.
good guest.
I'll just dump a bunch of pennies in your change cup in the car. There you go. I think coming up soon, we're going to have our friend Matt back on the show.
We are.
Yeah, not for human consumption podcast. So I think we're going to delve into some science fiction picks.
Yeah, we're going to just talk about what science fiction movies we love. We're going to put a little thing up on our Facebook and website and stuff. So want to get some of your guys' feedback on sci-fi movies you dig. So look forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun having back on.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, I think that about does it.
Let's wrap it up. Let's take it out.
My name's John Lasseter.
And I'm William Neeson.
All right. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Take it easy.